They did. All right, welcome back. Odd start to this week. Let's get going. So, we're on to solving rational equations, okay? So, a couple things to understand. Now that we have this word equations, obviously our problems will involve an equal sign. So now you have different rules to live by. Last week we were simplifying things. The only thing you were allowed to do was multiply by 1. Now you can do the same thing to each side. So we're just going to have to kind of get that system back in our brains, okay? Rational, what's the root of the word rational? Ratio, okay? And what's another word for a ratio? A fraction, very good. So these are equations that involve fractions and obviously variables. Okay? So in order to do this well, you're going to need to know when you are allowed to cross multiply. Everybody know what that term cross multiply means? Okay? You're going to have to remember how to distribute, and you're going to have to know how to factor. Okay? And then you're also going to have to be tough, because these are not easy, and you might mess something up, and you might have to go back and check to see where your mistake was, or redo it, and that's probably the most important part of this lesson, is to be mentally tough and keep trying. And that's why I've eliminated number 10 through 18 even, because it would be too long. And I'm not here to make you guys do a lot of work. I just want you to do really good work. Okay? It reminds me of that quote that I saw up there on the wall this morning that says, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. I really like that quote. In fact, I'd much rather be tough than smart. I think it gets you a lot further. Okay? All right, here we go. So, we'll start out with number 1. And it says x over x minus 1 equals 1/2. Now you are in a situation where you are ready to cross multiply. So that answers our first question. When do we cross multiply? You cross multiply when you simply have one fraction on the left and one fraction on the right. And that's going to end up being our goal. Okay? So you do x times 2 is 2x, and 1 times x minus 1 is simply x minus 1. Okay? Subtract x from both sides, and you get x equals -1. So far, so good? No? Okay. 2x minus x is what? X. X minus x is 0. That's gone. 0 minus 1 is -1. Got it? Okay. Let's go down to, in fact, let's go to 2 instead of doing 3. 2 is a little different. 3 is pretty much the same that we just did. 2 equals 4 over n plus 1/3. Here we are not able to cross multiply because we don't have a fraction equals a fraction. We have a number equals 2 fractions. Okay? So what I would do here is, good morning, Eve, get this 4 over n by itself. So what would I have to do to get this 4 over n by itself? Subtract 1/3. Okay? Over here, that leaves you, these are gone. 4 over n equals, what is 2 minus 1/3 as a fraction? 5/3. Very good, Alex. 2 would be 6/3. 6/3 minus 1/3 is 5/3. Now that's why we did last section before we did this section. Although now, if you just have to put that in your calculator, you have to put that in your calculator. Okay, now we're ready to cross multiply. 12 equals 5 times n. Divide both sides by 5. And you get n is 12/5. And I'm fine with you just writing it like that. Also, you could write it as 2.4 or 2 2/5, whatever. So far, so good? Decimal's fine. Okay, so let's see. How about, well, let's look at, bless you. How about we move down into number 8? Okay? We'll start to do some that are a little bit more difficult. Negative 12 over y equals y minus 7. Oh, by the way, I should probably give out scrap paper because there's no way you'll have room to do this on here. Okay? So I'll do that after I go over these. For now, just write these examples on your homework, and you can just staple them to your work page. You don't have to rewrite them. Okay, so one thing that you should realize is that is a fraction. Anything's a fraction. Just put it over 1. Okay? So now I can cross multiply. Negative 12 times 1 is negative 12. Y times y is y squared. This is the distribute part. Y times negative 7 is minus 7y. Yes? Yes, you could have written as y squared minus 7y equals negative 12. That would have been totally fine because the equal sign is very powerful and we can always take anything from either side and switch it because it means they're equal. So we can put it wherever we want. Good question. Anyone have an idea on what to do next? We're going to have to factor because it involves a squared, which means we're going to have up to 2 answers for this. But we can't factor until we move this over here. So we have to add 12. Very good, Eve. And you get 0 is y squared minus 7y plus 12. Keep in mind, it's definitely in your advantage to keep the y squared positive. We don't really ever factor with y squared negative or x squared negative. Okay, so now we got our little riddle. We're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be 12 and add to be negative 7. Well, they're both going to have to be negative because they multiply to be positive but add to be negative. What do we got? That's right. Okay, so our final answer is that y is 3, bless you, or 4. Now let's check it to make sure that's right. What's negative 12 divided by 3? Negative 4. And what's 3 minus 7? Negative 4. Sweet. Let's try 4. Negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. 4 minus 7 is negative 3. That's how I know I got it right. You should not turn in your quiz this week until you've checked every answer. I'm not going to make it a super long quiz, so if you just are tough and willing to check your answer, you should not turn this in wrong unless you run out of time. Okay? Got it? All right. Now it's getting really real. So let's look at number 9 next. (15 over x) plus 9x minus 7 over x plus 2 equals 9. Okay, we are not at a point where we are able to cross multiply yet, so we have to combine these fractions. This is why we did last section before this section. What do we have to do in order to combine these fractions? We got to get a common denominator. Very good. Okay, so we're going to multiply this by x plus 2 over x plus 2. And we're going to multiply this one by x over x. And keep in mind, all we did was multiply those things by 1, and we are allowed to multiply anything by 1 that we want. So now we've got to distribute. You get 15x plus 30 over x squared plus 2x. That's right. Distribute, 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 distribute. Okay? Plus 9x squared minus 7x over x squared plus 2x. Well, good. Now we have common denominators. That was the whole point. Is equal to 9. Okay? Now we can combine like terms and get 9x squared, 15x, and a negative 7x combined to be what? Positive 8x. I got 15x minus 7x. The 9x squared came from here. I'm just combining the top of the fraction. And I'll make that into a fraction over there. Okay? Everybody okay? Now what do? Cross multiply. We have two fractions that are equal to each other. That's when we are allowed to cross multiply. You get 9 times x squared is 9x squared. 9 times 2x is 18x. And then I just got to rewrite this. Well, that makes me happy. What makes me happy? The 9x squares will cancel out. So I do not have to factor this one. Keep in mind, I didn't just magically do that. I subtracted 9x squares from both sides. That's really what I did. Because I'm allowed to subtract anything I want from both sides. That's why they canceled. Okay? So now I have 18x. Let's scroll down. 18x, jeez Pete, is 8x plus 30. Subtract 8x from both sides. You get 10x is 30. Divide each side by 10. You get x equals 3. Let's go back up to the top and check it. The original blue equation. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 minus 20 is 20. Sorry, 27 minus 7 is 20. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 5 plus 4 equals 9. I did it right. Okay? We got x equals 3, just because it's not on the screen. So, that's the homework. It's tough. We've done a little less than half of it for you. So now you've got the next about 30 minutes to try to do 10 problems. Okay? So it's going to be a lot of work, but it's good for you. And let me know if I can help. Boom!